Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Mark Bishop Show, where you never know what you're going to get or whom you're going to meet. All success stories, because that's what we like. We like talking to people who, some have come from nothing and have made it. Wonderful stories to share, to motivate you, just to entertain you, perhaps. Others, well, maybe born with a silver spoon, lost it all. Who knows? There's great stories out there to talk about. But this one today, this episode, it's a beauty. And I want to introduce you to somebody in a moment, but we feature success in many layers and careers, and this episode is just that. It's about Rami Geffner, who is an MD, physician, author, a speaker, and a relationship expert. Now, Dr. Geffner holds a bachelor's degree in biology, a master's in human anatomy from Rutgers University, a medical degree from the New Jersey School of Medicine, and as well as multiple degrees in dermatology and pathology. Pursuing a career in the medical field, he set up a multitude of dermatology practices in New Jersey to provide life-saving procedures. So, without further ado, what a fascinating life. I'd like to welcome Dr. Rami Geffner. Hi, Doc. How are you doing?
Good. Good morning. Good afternoon. Wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
How are you today?
Pretty good. Thank you. Yes. Very interesting life. Fascinating career. Did all those studies. Man, how you found the time, I'll never know. But at the end of the day, it all paid off because you had apparently the biggest practice in America. Is that right? All based in New Jersey.
Yeah. At some point before people realized what to do and how to do it, I was doing it. So for about 10 years, we were number one as far as patient volume, patient outcomes, patient treatments, etc. There are only 10 million people that live in New Jersey and a few more that live in Pennsylvania. We ended up seeing 1 out of 10 people in the state. And we had a very good reputation because I made sure that the practice followed my principles of healthy relationships. And so we gained the trust of the public and we did good work, good outcomes. And as a result of that, the practice grew by leaps and bounds and we were top dog. Then after they all discovered my top secret, then they became my own competition, which I did not mind because it improved healthcare in our state, in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and eventually the rest of the country.
Wow.
And that's the claim to fame. Good patient relationships, good outcomes, being honest, being communicative, having the trust and respect we deserved from our patients as we gave them.
Right.
That's how we built the practice.
Well, you certainly must have done some. You got your phone on there, have you? You just need to take the volume off. It just goes to show you what you can build, doing it the right way. I mean, some 300-odd staff, practices all over the place. It's a lot of work. Now, like everybody that deserves it, who's worked very hard, you came to retire. And you've got a lot of interests, including that thing behind you there, I believe. You're a bit of a painter. All right. So that's a nice shot. You did that. That's not bad, you know.
Well, I need to do something to entertain my visual fields. And you know what? In a relationship, I'd rather look at a bunch of good-looking orcas than good-looking women. Because, this is how I came to write a book about how to avoid cheating and deception.
Right. We're going to get to that. But first, I want to talk about your major hobby, because when you retired, you love fishing, right? Ever since you were a kid, you love fishing, apparently. But you love boating. And you've written some books, right? Firstly, we're going to talk about, you've written some books about boating. And I think, was this your first one, How to Buy Your First Boat?
Yeah, that was my first book and number one hit at that time, which was maybe a year and a half ago. And sold a lot of copies and it helped a lot of people. It's still selling a lot of copies. It communicates the art of how to buy the first boat because it is very mind-boggling. There are many, many boats for sale out there. And this put it into perspective. And so it did very well, Mark. Yes, it did.
Well, I think it was a needed book because boating's popular. It's not like buying a car, is it? I mean, there's a lot more to it. This was a big hit for you, which is great. How to buy your first book. You're actually a captain, a qualified sea captain, to be able to take people out. Your second one, how did that go? This was The Voyage of the Seascape. What's that about?
So many of my patients, when I spoke with them, and they found out that I had this vessel, a 60-foot catamaran, which is pretty big, 3 stories high and lots of room inside, said to me they always wish to be able to take a trip between New Jersey and Florida. So as I started taking trips between Florida and New Jersey, which were twice a year, I decided to help these people out by forming 70 new maps, which I created with this book. And I spoke to them about the story of where and how to do it, where to dock, where to go, when to go, what the dangers were, how to avoid the dangers, where to take the boat at night, because most people don't like to travel at night. And I also talked to them about anticipating any dangers that will come up. And so I wrote this great book. And when my ophthalmologist friend, who was taking care of my eyes, told me that this boat of his, which you're looking at the picture of, Mark, sank off the coast of St. Augustine 3 miles away.
Wow.
It hit a wandering platform, which was not that visible to the naked eye.
Right.
I decided that I better start writing books about boating emergencies. Now, in this lucky chapter, he was saved. Him and his wife were saved just minutes after they hit the wreck and the boat went down 3 miles off the coast of St. Augustine.
Wow.
But there are a lot of very important points that I make in this book, from mechanic to emergency boating, where you have to really take responsibility for your own safety.
Right. Well, in fact, you wrote 2, didn't you? Boating emergencies.
Yeah. Well, because it started becoming a very voluminous volume, I figured that maybe people needed the rapid personal response to a handbook. Right. And so I wrote this one, which is only about 350 pages, which then references it to another book that you just showed, which is about twice the thickness and volume to read. So you can start with this and go on to that. Correct. And hopefully it saved people's lives and made them more secure and kind of prepared them for a voyage that they would eventually want to pursue.
Well, that's excellent. That's excellent. All that knowledge and experience that you had writing about it and so on. It was good to hear about your friends there. They got saved in time. And what's this about? Alaska Revealed.
Well, you always hear people live off the grid. So I decided to try that experience and see what it was all about. I was into nature. I loved animals, birds and bees and flowers and trees and the moon up above. Oh, wait a second. That sounds like a song. So Lori and I, this is my great friend, Lori and I decided to go take a trip and live off the grid for a few weeks. And that book was a result of what it's like to live off the grid. We stayed at a lodge with 2 other guests and about 8 guides who took us out daily. And we learned a lot about the land, and we learned about the fish, and we learned about other species such as foxes and bears and eagles and all sorts of things. So as a result of that experience, Mark, I published this book with 420 pictures to share with whomever was interested. And I really want to send that to a few of the politicians. I think they'll get a kick out of it. It's a very informative book to know and learn. So if somebody's going on the cruise, an Alaskan cruise, which is very, very popular, they might want to read this book before they go out on the cruise, because they all get some sort of guide off the trip.
Right.
And they'll have some knowledge of what they're going to look at and what the potential of the trip could extend to.
Well, a lot of fun. I mean, boating can be a lot of fun, as depicted here on this one. A lot of your family on your boat having a good time. Life's meant to be enjoyed, but unfortunately, you do hear a lot about bad seamanship and so on because people never prepared, didn't care about the emergency. So you've written these books to help a lot. And before we get off the boats, this one here, tell us, are these all your family or girlfriends? What are they?
Well,
I'd take up boating with this lot.
this was a recent trip, Mark. This is a trip that we took to the Bahamas.
Oh, lovely.
Yes, and you could see Captain Rami right in the center with a brown shirt because they wanted the captain to stand out. And next to me is my girlfriend, Lori, and next to her is her daughter, Sarah. And on my other side, the man you're looking at is a physician, a doctor, who's Lori's son. And next to him is his girlfriend. And the lady wearing the black in the back is Sarah's friend. And that's who went to the Bahamas. And we had a great time. We snorkeled, we fished, we toured. We met the people who lived on the island. This is in Bimini, and we actually traveled all around the islands.
Lovely.
We swam with the sharks. We swam with stingrays. It was amazing, just amazing.
Just amazing. Well, half your luck. And the family must be your hard work of many, many years. And good on you. You love fishing, you love boating, and that was, a lot to do when you're retired. But there's a lot more to the Rami Geffner story. Dr. Rami Geffner, massive author. They were just on those books that you saw. They were on boating, and pretty clever man. I mean, you did all these maps to go down and what have you. Then you wrote about emergencies and how to handle it. You are a qualified captain, so you know what you're talking about. And you've been boating for an awful long time. When you're on land, from what I can ascertain, you like to do this sort of stuff here, which is a bit of gardening. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
What is that?
Well, you're seeing all sorts of fruit trees. I was actually inspected by the United States Department of Agriculture because I have so many fruit trees on my property in Fort Lauderdale when I'm down there. And what you're looking here at, I believe, are 2 mango trees. There are 40 species of mangoes, and you're looking at 2 different species. One is a Kerry mango, and another one is a mango that comes from the Philippines. So there are different mangoes. And then behind that, there's guava trees, etc. Yeah. And now what you're looking at is my pollinators. My pollinators are either going to be bees or butterflies. And so what I've done is I've created a bed for butterflies, and they're surrounded by, you see that black container?
Yes.
And this is where we grow our milkweed and other plants that attract butterflies.
Cool.
So we get about 5 different species of butterflies that fly here, and then they're able to pollinate the flowers to produce fruit.
Excellent. See, diverse. You read today, Rami, quite honestly, keep busy in retirement. And you certainly do a lot of things, right? Good for the brain, good for the body, good for everything. One last shot of the family, because you're a very happy family man. Is that the lot there? They're all the children?
Well, there are more, but we captured a few of them,
Okay, nice shot.
This is at a recent, wedding excursion that we went on. And in the center is my son, Jonathan. And to his right side is my daughter, Julianne. To her left side is my daughter, Victoria.
Okay.
And then cousin, Jessica, who's an oncologist in Tom's River.
Right.
Cousin Larissa with the yellow dress, who's a librarian, a very sweet lady. They both have children. And this is part of the family you've captured, Mark.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely. And there's more to it. Well, I mean, you're an author, you're a physician, motivational speaker, life coach, relationship expert, and you are committed to helping people build stronger, healthier relationships and more fulfilling lives, which I think is a great cause, to be honest with you. That's why I wanted you on the show for all you do, because I think you've got a lot to share. By the way, the wonderful book series called The Foundation of Healthy Relationships series. Now, this particular, I want to show this logo here to people. Okay, this is a lovely logo. This is the Foundation of Healthy Relationships. This is something that Rami now, as if he didn't have enough to do in retirement, but there's a reason you wanted to start this cause, this nonprofit, and I'd like you to share with my viewers here and listeners, what is the Foundation of Healthy Relationships? What are you trying to do with this? What is the cause?
The purpose of the Foundation of Healthy Relationships is a foundation which teaches and educates the public about relationships and speaks about the disruptors of relationships and talks about how to conduct a relationship, especially when it goes awry. In other words, what I find out that there's so many elements of relationships, so many ingredients. It's like making a cake. And when one ingredient falters, the cake just doesn't taste as good as when all the ingredients are there. So the job here is to find out, discover which element is responsible for that thwarted taste, and go back and add that ingredient to the mix. And I find that usually the major disruptor of a relationship is the cause of it faltering, which then affects the other smaller pillars that involve relationships. So if we speak about, emotional regulation or how to resolve conflicts, this is part of what the foundation is meant to do.
Okay, so it's a non-profit organization that you're launching now. And as a matter of fact, you've written a lot of books on this. So it's not just, off the top. It's taken you, there's 20 there, but there's more to come, I believe. Is that right?
That is correct. It's a continual teaching organizations with people who are going to become coaches to groups all over the country. Starting the foundation in New Jersey and Florida because it's closest to my heart. It's where my families are in, and it's easier to get going. And it will eventuate in teaching centers all over the country, not only for the public, but it's reaching out to educate healthcare providers all over the country, because they need a lot of attention, which is not provided to them in medical school, and they're yearning for that knowledge.
Right.
I'm here to explain to some of these foundations that we want to become closer to as to what is needed to create better healthcare providers to people who need them. And any organization, even organizations that have people in management who need to have a relationship with their employees, as to how to go about, there's so much discordance that this foundation that we put together is going to teach them and try to discover what the major issues are in and lack of relationships that affect them.
So it's a big initiative that you're doing here. I mean, there's lots of facts between divorce in America. I think it's up to 52% now. Lots of cohabitants who aren't married, relationships there, why they break down and so on. I mean, these books, they represent, from what I was reading, that you had sent me, they sort of follow each other or they blend into each other as a series. Is that correct?
Well, you don't necessarily have to read one in order to understand another, because they deal with different issues.
Okay. And these issues are what happens in life.
Correct.
So, drawing on your professional expertise and your real life experience, this foundation series published now, you can get it on Amazon and also on your site and on the foundation site, I believe. It's practical, accessible guidance that empowers readers to navigate life's challenges with greater confidence and clarity. So let's talk about then some of the books. I know it's a small shot in reference to here, but can you do that for us? Give us an idea. I see different labels. Why you dump me, or why people get dumped. And then there's all different sorts. Pick one or two of your favorites there you'd like to chat about as an example.
Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing for couples to do, if we're going to speak about romantic relationships, then we need to pay attention to trying to understand if an issue becomes a problem, what the issue is and how to deal with that issue. Now, if a couple thinks, or one of the people in that relationship, whether persons in the relationship, believe that it may have started, for instance, because there's a lack of emotional or physical attention in that relationship.
Right.
Obviously, that's the first that needs to be addressed. If, for instance, there's plenty of emotional or physical contact, but there's a lack of communication, then you need to set up some sort of guide as to how to approach this issue so that you could solve it and it now does not become an issue in the relationship, because one issue affects the other. Just like I said before, it's like making a cake. Everything counts in a relationship. However, we know that issues come up all the time in everything that we do in life, whether we're baking a cake, having a relationship, driving a boat, driving a car, speaking with someone. Things always, Murphy's Law. If it could go wrong, it's going to go wrong. And often at time, this is the issue is not the fact that I love you, you love me, we have a fight, we don't disagree. How do we come out of the fight, and how do we handle that when that happens? How do we speak about it? So we need, if we could deal with it ourselves, then we try to do the best we can.
Right.
So, for instance, if I find out that a couple has a problem with affection and intimacy, okay, I will direct them to the workbook that I have it's called How to Keep Your Man, the Biology and Rhythm of Sexual Desire. In it not only addresses a man, but it addresses what the feelings and affection that women get from the man, or it doesn't have to be binary, it could be unisexual kind of thing, where two people are able to deal with that component. And what it does, that book talks about the dialogue as to how to approach it. If this is an issue, this is how you approach it. If you need to talk about something emotional or physical, address it. Don't cover it up, because it only gets worse. It's like when you have a health problem. If you don't take care of it, it only gets worse, and then you end up having to deal with something a lot worse. It happens like that with everything. Your car doesn't run right. Well, guess what? You're driving it down the street. It's going to come to a stop.
Right.
So if you don't become aware of the problem, and then you don't want to deal with the issue, it's not going to go away by itself. Nothing goes away by itself. You need to actually say, you know what? We have an issue. Let's deal with it before it affects every other pillar. There's respect, there's trust, there's denial, there's
many. Yeah.
all sorts of conflicts that come up. If you don't deal with the issue when it comes up and come to some agreement as to how to approach it next time, then it's only going to affect other elements within that system.
Well, Doctor, this is a tremendous body of work that you have put together, especially after a well-earned retirement. What inspired you to go this deep, to write about all of this, to write all these books? You've got this mission, to help so many people and the medical world all across America. It's quite a big goal, isn't it, really, when you look at it?
Well, I don't know one relationship, including mine, that has not encountered an issue within this relationship. Okay? Some are small, some are big.
Right.
Okay? But if we don't have the tools to understand them and become aware of them, we're not going anywhere as a society, as individuals. And so I became very curious in how to attack and provide the tools for people who really care and want to do something about it. Psychologists and psychiatrists are well-meant human beings, but there's not enough of them to help the people that need it. And there are a lot more people who have a problem because, as I said before, I don't know of a relationship in my life surrounding me, and I bet you yours, Mark, or any one of my friends,
right,
that does not have an issue that you could deal with and perfect and make better. I don't know of anybody, and I doubt anybody knows of somebody who does have an issue.
They'd be hiding it. They'd be fibbing if they didn't.
So no one's provided this encyclopedic manner of reading about it and trying to understand it and then trying to deal with it. So I felt that if I didn't do it, who else will do it? Because it hasn't been done yet. So my intent is to broach every subject that I could think about and add an addition to this volumes that I'm writing so that if you have an issue, you can address it by going to the books. Of course, you could use AI, but you know what? That's not complete. It gives you pieces here, pieces there. You have to put it together. Mm-hmm. So I've taken the trouble of putting that which you'd want to know about together.
Right.
So if you say, you know what? I'm not emotionally satisfied. I'm not physically satisfied. Or I find out that I can't trust my partner, okay? Then go into the book and start doing your research because these books were also meant to be workbooks. And the workshops that we're setting up right now as we speak are based on the information in these books. And this is what we're training our coaches to deal with. It's just a matter of
that's fabulous.
And then saying, I'm going to do something about it, rather than saying like brushing it off and pretending it hasn't happened.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's not the problem. Sweeping it under the rug, so to speak, right?
Yeah, that's an illusion. Do not think that what you sweep under the rug is not going to come back and bite you. And I know it's hard. It's a very difficult thing to come to an admission and awareness of saying, you know what? Mm-hmm. We got an issue. Can we deal with it? And try to deal with it on a non-emotional basis, even though that is very, very difficult because we're so controlled by our emotions. Even as I speak to you, I'm feeling emotions. As you speak, you feel emotions.
Yeah.
Why? Because our limbic system, which is a little nubbin in our brain, has such power. It's like this most powerful battery that runs our entire nervous system.
Right.
That our whole program in life is to try to inhibit it, but sometimes we lose control of it and it gets the better of us. That's when we lose our temper, we get angry, we get emotional, that's what drives many of us to do the things that we later regret.
Yep, and don't want to do, and you look back on it. Marvelous work. A major initiative, in establishing relationship education. Now, this is another side to it. Recognized, let me put it this way. You have a vision and a goal and a dream where this is fantastic for everybody, but there is another side to it, okay? We're talking about an educational discipline, right, that can help professionals, the medical world, all sorts of different spaces. What do you mean by that? How does that front up?
Well, listen, there's so many angles to this because it affects every relationship in every profession with every human being that could think and has a brain, because the brain is also ruled by emotions. You got a thinking brain, you got an emotional brain, and then you got to deal with another person. So that means you got to communicate, right?
Me, myself, and I. Yeah.
Yeah, me, myself, and I. That's one issue. But it becomes a real issue when you have to communicate what you're thinking about or feeling to another individual and keep them happy and keep them interested and sound like you're really being honest, because that's what you really want to be, honest. But you don't want to create a problem.
No.
You want to create a solution. So this is a solution-based encyclopedic relationship series where when you can't do it yourself, you reach out to the foundation. You know, it's like exercise. Some people are motivated to pick up those weights and lift them or go out
Right.
and run or walk. But there are a lot of people who cannot do that on their own because it takes a certain amount of discipline. So what do? They sign up to a gym. They pay enough money so that when they don't use the gym, they start feeling guilty. Like, why am I not using the gym? I'm paying. Am I an idiot? Does money fall off the trees? So the foundation is there to help support your needs. So
now,
all these are set up. What you're going to do is you're going to figure out the problem.
right.
You'll talk to your partner, your boss, whoever it is. And what you're going to do is you're going to call the foundation and find out what best program you could enter, you and the person you're having whatever relationship, whether it's platonic, romantic, professional, come and visit, and we will help you understand what the issue is, and we will help you figure out, with your help, what you want to do about it so that you can get over it. To sweep it under the rug is not going to do anything to improve your relationship. And so if you want a healthy relationship, you know, do most people go to see a doctor for a checkup? Probably a lot want to do that because they want to make sure they're okay. They don't want to be at the doctor's when they're like, I have a problem, because that's an urgency. That's an emergency. So this is what it's almost preventive cure for something that could become a serious issue that could lead to divorce, to disable a relationship to the extent that it no longer exists.
Well, you're sort of practicing again, because out of your office in New Jersey, I believe, and one in Fort Lauderdale too. But people can come and see you. We'll be putting up your email to contact you here, Rami at ramigeffner.com. You're doing that because you love doing that, and you're doing speaking engagements, and you're also doing some consulting work to corporations, I understand, because this is what I was getting at before. This isn't just about Tom, Dick, and Harry. This is really about relationships everywhere. And in the medical space, I guess it's about how people are treated. You know what I mean? I was going to ask you something with the connection you were talking about. I know. I was going to ask you, this must relate to where there are more and more malpractice suits in the health space, right? Which can all come from non-communication, can all come from non-caring. I think you touched on that as well, don't you?
Yeah, well, you know, more than 50% of all malpractice suits are not due to gross negligence, but rather miscommunications between providers and patients. And, you know, they don't teach communication in medical school. I've been there. I know it. And yet when you talk to medical students, they're starving for that awareness. because they've never been exposed to it.
Right.
Yet the medical profession exposes them to that when they go out and they start doing their fellowships and residencies,
Right.
and they start finding other doctors. Well, who qualified those doctors to know that their relationship experts or whether they do the right thing in relationships? So they follow role models which have not been qualified, which have not been taught a thing about it. And so what you see is sloppy relationships.
Yeah.
You go into the emergency room.
So your goal would be to have this as part of the whole thing then. You wouldn't go out and practice, or you wouldn't go into, start your career until you've also perhaps done a segment in this as well.
Yeah, you need to be qualified. You're dealing with people. Who's teaching you basic people skills? You know what? When you apply to medical school, they look at how well you did on your biology examinations,
right.
or physiology, how well you scored in your MCATs. They don't preview the kind of person you are. They assume that because you've done this, and that, and you've got high grades, and you participate as a volunteer in the first aid squad or some other worthy cause, that you are qualified to be a relationship. I don't want to call it expert, but qualified in relationships with other people. Well, I could tell you that I've yet to have an experience yet in my life where I've pretended to be the advocate of a patient, such as a member of my family, meaning I would walk into an emergency room or a doctor's office, would say, my girlfriend and her mother for her mother's care, and I would sit there, and the doctor would rush in to the room without knocking at the door, look at their chart, which they were carrying in their hand, walk over to the computer, look at the computer, not even say a word, then turn around, and then just talk to the patient who's not that communicative. And then when she was a poor historian, would turn to the sort of speaking daughter and ask him to help. Meanwhile, they would disregard the third person being there.
Right.
Okay. Throughout the entire procedure, etc. Well, how many bad steps have taken? Number one, he should knock on the door. Number two, he should not be carrying a chart, look at the chart, and then walking towards the computer, look at the computer screen. He should knock on the door, open the door, say, hi, how you all doing? I know you're here for a reason, and I'd like to introduce myself. And who are you, patient? Who are you, the woman?
But who does that today? I mean, some do, but I mean, isn't it all about money today, time,
It's a real problem. And so when they get sued because they have no relationship with their patient, because they messed up, and nobody gives them the benefit of the doubt because they're there to really help you, then you ask yourself, why are malpractice going up? Why? Because you know what? If you had a relationship, you could at least explain to the patient why you may have messed up, even though it was unintentional.
Right.
And you know what? People forgive other people. I have a book about forgiveness. That's what I think.
I noticed that. That was one of the titles, forgiveness.
Yeah, forgiveness. People forgive for different reasons. And if you have how many people have you seen whose family member was killed by a murderer? They end up going to jail, but the person left behind needs to find out how to forgive themselves for feeling so horrible about the person, the murderer who did that, okay?
Yeah.
And you've heard them get on many in interviews and say, forgive them for what they did. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. It's
another great
chutzpah to do that. There's no doubt about it. But forgive. Well, all the books, all of these, plus the boating ones we talked about before. The boating ones, by the way, folks, if you are into boating and fishing or thinking of getting your first boat, there's an old joke, isn't there, Rami? The two best days the day you bought it and the day you sell it. It's an old joke, isn't it, with boats?
Yeah, but they're being totally sarcastic. I cry when I have to sell my boat.
Yeah.
So have a bunch, but yeah,
all right.
It's like everything.
Well, hopefully, good luck to you. Well, one day, I tell you what, I love this selection of books. You can get them on Amazon. And you can get them on the foundation of the Foundation of Healthy Relationships. Okay, I'll put that up again for you. There we go. There's the website for that. And Rami's website is very simple, ramigeffner.com, that I had up before. And that's where you can get, in fact, ebooks as well. But I did put this up before, and I asked Rami before he was coming on the show, could he do something for me in the way of a little gift? And this is what he's given us, which is terrific, right? 5 books for a 20% discount if you'd like the series. Imagine 5 of them, 20%. It adds up. And but you could get them ebooks on his own site, on this particular site here. All right. And he can be booked on that site as well for speaking engagements. And he could also, you can book him for one-on-one consultations. He's sort of back in business. And at the same token, there's the Foundation of Healthy Relationships. It's a .org. It's a non-profit organization to do everything he's talked about into eventually. And you won't need medical cards to do this one. You'll be able to go to workshops apparently all across the country once it grows. If you could support it, it would be great. I think it's a great cause, and it's going to help a lot of people. And if you start here, it spreads out into less crime, children. It affects so many areas of happiness and life and just general peace. And that's healthy relationships when you think about it. So that's the cause. Rami, it's been fascinating stuff. I mean, you can be booked. I've got it up there. Is that it to book you? For anybody can book you now for speaking engagement, right? Rami at ramigeffner.com, ramigeffner.com.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, that's that one. And if you go to, I had a look at it before we came on. It was lovely, your site, ramigeffner.com. Or you can contact you through the Foundation of Healthy Relationships. So what I'm going to do is take this one off. I'm going to come back to you and I right there. Oh, the tree, it doesn't want to go away. Lovely looking health tree, mate. There we go. Where are you? Come back here. There you go. This one here and that one there. There we go. Not a bad painting. You're a very talented man. I'll give you that. And I won't put the one of giraffes up. I'll just leave this one with the orcas. He's done that. In closing, Rami Geffner, my special guest on the Mark Bishop Show, what would you like to try and, what are you hoping people, it's obvious you want to help, but what do you really want people to get out of those books, out of all you've written and what you're doing?
What I want them to really be is aware, AWARE. If you could just become aware of the issues and approach it to improve that relationship, not through denial, saying that the problem does not exist, but through forgiveness, and add a little respect, a little trust, and take the high road, you will come to a satisfactory conclusion, which you will find yourself in a happier state of being. That's really the bottom line. I see this in every family. There are some sort of discontent because whether it's the children, whether it's the uncle, whether it's the cousin, something happened and people just won't speak to each other anymore. They're so upset that it breaks families apart. Not only lovers and people have commitment to each other, but families.
Right.
Immediate and extended. If they could just become aware that bitterness will go away and they will be able to forgive themselves and others.
Right.
And I could tell you one story after the other. And that's why I got into this whole thing, because I could not stand it anymore. I could not see the attrition rate between people and families because they couldn't see through it because they were just not aware as to how to do it.
Right.
What I'm trying to do is give you the tools as to how to do it. So buy all the books, put them on your shelf. You got a problem, just reach for them.
Right.
There'll be others coming. Every year there'll be more and more and more because I cannot help myself. Try to help you help yourself.
Now, I want to ask you that because there's an acronym, I think, that you've been promoting. You've mentioned A for aware, but there's also AIR, air. All
So
right.
AIR stands for A, awareness.
Awareness, right.
Intent to work and improve what you just became aware about.
Right.
And the R would be to respond to it and to repair it. So whatever the issues are, whatever the fault is, the R stands for repair, replace, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Doing something to improve what you just realized happened.
Right.
That's
And the I?
air.
And the I stands for?
Intent. The intent to do something about which you became aware of. And
Right.
if you think about it as the air, it's something that we breathe. You become aware. You take your breath. Your awareness goes right into your mind. Your mind translates it into an admission that you now recognize and says, this is horrible. We need to do something about it.
Right.
And so what you do is you respond and you find a solution because I'm providing you the tools. And if you can't do it on your own, you call the foundation. We will have people there that you can meet with and be helped by and come to a certain degree, a conclusion, and do something about it.
That's fabulous. Well, all I can say is thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor, for what you're trying to do. I think it's a wonderful cause, ladies and gentlemen. What's it called again, Mark? The Foundation of Healthy Relationships, Inc. It's a non-profit organization just launching, right, to spread across America all the wonderful works of Dr. Rami Geffner. And there's more to come. But, you know, you're not going to need your health card on this one. And you'll be able to go to workshops physically and work together. But look at the books. Read a lot first. It's been wonderful having you on. Thanks, Dr. Rami Geffner. I appreciate you being on the show. And I wish you all the luck in the world with the foundation that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Mark. And you're quite a great host. Let me tell you, you're like,
thanks very much. I appreciate
I recommend you highly to everybody.
Oh.
You stick with Mark and you will learn a lot from him. But the guests and the way he addresses his questions are like the very, very important. It will affect your life in many ways.
Wow, that's made my month, I can assure you. Thanks, Doug. What a wonderful man. What a wonderful organization. The Foundation of Healthy Relationships. Folks, look out for it. If in any way, shape, or form the show has appealed to you, this episode, you'd like to talk to Rami. He's a lovely, open guy, right? Just give him a quick email, Rami, potatoes, tomatoes, whatever, at Rami Geffner, GEFFNER.com, RamiGeffner.com, right? That's the site. And then, of course, he's got the foundation site as well. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for being. Please, tell people about the podcast and help it spread, help it find us. And particularly right here on YouTube, if you subscribe, we'd appreciate it. Support and, it's going to help everybody to be able to do that. So, and always remember, you be kind to each other.